So, back for another Believe in Boyt with this Slowbro team. And Slowbro is really showing why it's living up to its name at this point. Just a little bit too slow with the wins. It would be able to win those last few games, but timer is a thing now. So, just use Slowbro on Pokemon Showdown, pretty much, would be my advice at this point. Or just get more Calm Minds up quicker, so that you can actually do damage. But only a couple more, and then we're saying goodbye to Rillaboom and all the others, so then there'll be no more Grassy Seeds, unless you really want to go with Thwacky. Probably still don't recommend that, but that's going to be a guy in the top thousands, that's quite cool. Just a pretty standard hyper offense team. And like, that's hyper offense. A lot of people are calling things hyper offense when they're not actually really hyper offense, but that's hyper offense. So I will go Grimmsnarl Volcarona. Because against hyper offense, you're supposed to just stall it down. Definitely want Dracozolt. And I don't want Corviknight because there's Toxtricity as well as Cinderace. Rillaboom would only really be to overwrite Terrain. But then if I'm bringing Slowbro, how many physical? 1, 2, 3, 4. No, there's 3. There's 3 physical attackers, so how well would I be able to get Slowbro up? There's still the Toxtricity as well. And this is a Drain Punch Rillaboom, not high horsepower, so it's not very good against Toxtricity. But I think I value Fake Out the most to be able to stall out hyper offense and overwriting terrain. Because Dracozolt is going to be key here. I need to keep Dracozolt somewhat safe. I'd find it interesting if they lead with Whimsicott, because my team is so slow, like, you don't need to go with Whimsicott. You don't need to click Tailwind turn 1. But then so many people do that, like, your team is already faster and yet you click Tailwind turn 1, because that's just the default at this point. So yeah, there's a Whimsicott. Like, there doesn't need to be Whimsicott here. But this is a pretty safe... I say safe, if they go for Pyro Ball or whatever, then it's not the safest. And of course Will-O-Wisp can miss, but it's still somewhat of a safe Reflecting Will-O-Wisp. So if I get the Cinderace burned, that'll put me in a very good position. And usually on these teams the Whimsicott is the eject button, because the Indeedee is usually Sash. Although Specs was very common at the very beginning of Series 5, but then from what I've seen, it's mostly eject button with Sash and Indeedee, because you want to be imprisoning. Because that's the main way the Hyper Offense has to... Interesting. That's the main way Hyper Offense has to deal with Trick Room. But this is okay. So long as there's no Fire move. Like this, I'm totally content with this if there's no Fire move. Dynamax turn 1. Excellent. So that's really good. Just no Pyro Ball. But even if there's a Pyro Ball, both Pokemon make it through the turn. So it's not the worst, but worst case at this point. Be very brave of them to go for a Steel Spike in front of a Volcarona. That was probably clicking Heat Wave in front of a Whimsicott and a Cinderace. So we'll have to see. It's just Airstream, yeah, that's what I expected. So long as I connect with the Will-O-Wisp, we are all good. And this Cinderace Airstream is exactly why I have the Focus Sash on the Volcarona. Even though I've got a little bit of bulk on it. So if I just connect with this Will-O-Wisp. After the Life Orb. Very good. Excellent. So now, Expanding Force doesn't really do too much to my Grimmsnarl. It might even be worth at this point saving the Volcarona, because they could be Steel Spiking into the Grimmsnarl. But if I switch in on an Airstream, that is definitely not ideal. So I don't think it's worth being that cheeky. I'll just get the Light Screen. I will try and Struggle Bug. Actually, no. If I go for Rage Powder, Yeah, if I go for Rage Powder, that means that Grimmsnarl definitely makes it through the turn unscathed. And I think I prefer to keep a full health Cinderace. Not Cinderace, Grimmsnarl than... Okay, back into Whimsicott, so that was pointless. So this is Steel Spike, then this Rage Powder was good. Excellent. So now Cinderace is not going to be hitting the Grimmsnarl. Even though it's burned and got Reflect, it would have still done a reasonable chunk. But I guess Heat Wave was going to be better there because it turned into a steel type from the Steel Spike, and it would have hit Whimsicott as well. But he had an Indeedee on the field at that point, so I thought it was pretty reasonable for him to just go for Steel Spike and Expanding Force. But then again, Volcarona does outspeed Indeedee. So, but now I think I need to go into Dracozolt and actually start doing some damage. So I'll go for a Spirit Break here into the Whimsicott. And then Steel Spike is probably the most likely thing. Quake is slightly risky if they go for Airstream. Flare is safe. I'm going to go for Quake. I'm going to go for the maximum I can, because Airstream would be quite strange here. That would be the hardest call on the Quake, which seems a bit unnecessary to me at this point. If I take care of the Cinderace in the next couple of turns, that frees Rillaboom up quite a lot. Darkness, okay. So Wormwound would have been the best thing. And Spirit Break into the Cinderace would have been very good as well. But yeah, that's just doing nothing. I'm content with my Quake though, because it's going to get my special defense back up. Because they're going to be going for Moonblast or Dazzling Gleam here. Which will still do a reasonable chunk, but it's not the worst. Yeah, that's fine. And now I'm getting my special defense right back up to neutral. And I'm decreasing the special attack of the Whimsicott as well. And we'll see if it's eject button at this point. It is a joke one, yeah. That's standard on these teams. So Indeedee or what? It's Indeedee, I'm probably switching Grimmsnarl into Rillaboom. Cinderace isn't really a threat at this point. So I'm going to switch into Rillaboom. And I don't want a Lightning. I don't want to overwrite my grassy terrain that I'm switching in. So the Expanding Force won't do too much at all. The Expanding Force won't be targeted into Grimmsnarl, you would assume. Because, like, even though it would hit both, you would assume it's not targeted into Grimmsnarl. So then Dracozolt should be able to eat it because it's now overwritten. Okay, they did bounce, so that's fine. That just means that I'm switching straight back out into Grimmsnarl after this. And they went for Dazzling Gleam, interesting. Not many Indeedees have Dazzling Gleam, but you can see why. It does not do damage. And was that Focus Sash? It's usually the Focus Sash one. Yeah, it is. Okay. Do I take the bounce? I think I do, because I've got Reflect and it's burned. So actually I don't particularly care. I'm going to go for a Swords Dance. Pretty sure I can get away with the Swords Dance here, so I am going to... Oh no, it's not Swords Dance, it's Bulk Up. Okay. Very used to playing Swords Dance on Rillaboom. But Which one do I KO? And KO either afterwards. I think I'm going to Quake into the Indeedee so that I can boost my Rillaboom even further. So my Rillaboom can become unkillable at this point. Even if they're switching into Whimsicott again, I don't particularly care. This is still going to do a good chunk to the Whimsicott. Just don't paralyze me. Yeah, that was worth staying in for. It's a nice bulk up. And the Rillaboom is going to be pretty set right now. They're going to be able to overwrite the terrain with the Indeedee again, but they're not going to easily be able to break the Rillaboom now. And that almost KO'd. That's got to be a crit, right? Yeah. Still haven't seen the last one as well. Toxtricity, I think, is the worst case. Braviary is actually not the greatest either, but I can still just be bulking up. But that's it for Dynamax, so we're hustling now. I'm only at +1s. Is it worth the bulk up again? Or just take a KO? But if they switch into Indeedee, I'm taking the thing anyway. But that's fine, because they'll lose Indeedee. I'm just going to attack. If that's Indeedee, that's fine. Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with that. I don't care about them saving Cinderace. And if I hit the Bolt Beak, that would be very kind of the Trackazult. Moonblast should be able to take it very comfortably. Can take another one. So Indeedee was one of the bigger threats, so I'm glad that's gone. And then does Bolt Beak connect? Wonderful. So theoretically looking in a strong position. +1s on the Rillaboom. Almost back to full. Don't have grassy terrain, but that's fine because Cinderace is doing nothing. It would just be Toxtricity or Braviary that would be a concern. You'd assume Toxtricity because of the Corviknight, yeah. So I would like to high horsepower that Toxtricity at some point. And I don't know if that's this turn or switch out into Grimmsnarl. How many turns of screens are left? Okay. 3 turns of light screen should be enough. I'm going to go for Drain Punch. I'm pretty sure that's enough into Cinderace. And I'm going to switch out into Grimmsnarl so that I can high horsepower that without any extra chip from the Cinderace. Toxtricity is going to be a little bit awkward if it's Throat Spray. If it's Specs, that's fine. I think. Maybe. That'd be close on Drexel actually if it's Specs. But if they... yeah, if they have some sort of boost. If they're Magnet, that's absolute best case. Is that into Rillaboom? No, okay. That's fair. Into Grimmsnarl. They should be faster than my Rillaboom. Sludge Wave. Okay. That means that I'm Drain Punching their Toxtricity instead. And yeah, that's not doing too much damage at all. So I should be able to take whatever move. Then I just need to hit a high horsepower, really. The Drain Punch would definitely be enough. Makes sense them going for Iron Head so they would resist the Sludge Wave. But then, yeah, Drain Punch is then super effective. And it was in range anyway. So it's not doing too much to me. At this point, I'll Grassy Glide. And I did look already. Yeah, I don't need to Light Screen again. Can't Thunder Wave. Doubly can't Thunder Wave. Might as well just sacrifice myself to the Spirit Break here at this point. Not to the Spirit Break, not being able to Spirit Break. And that doesn't KO the Rillaboom again. But I don't think I'm going to two-shot, so it's going to come down to high horsepower at this point. Yeah, that's a 3-shot there. With the light screen, I should be fine, but it's just, you know, Hustle is 20% accurate. And I'm going to click Outrage as well, just for that extra 5%, because that's definitely enough as well. Which is better, Drain Punch or Grassy Glide? I think Grassy Glide at this point, but yeah, I'm going to click Outrage. Pray for Hustle. And it shouldn't do too much, but it should two-shot once the light screen's gone. It definitely does, so I need to connect high horsepower. Oh no, Outrage right now. And we all know how accurate Hustle can be. As shown, it will always miss when you need it to. Like, literally, Hustle is 20% accurate. They got the numbers wrong, I swear. Can't be helped there. That's what happens. And the fact that they had Sludge Wave as well was very awkward. Well, that's what happens when... Like, I love Dracozolt so much, but I also hate Dracozolt so much. And you can see why. The mistake was not bringing Slowbro, even though Slowbro would have been terrible there. I say that, actually. Only Toxtricity really hit it. At least that guy respected Slowbro by having to respect the Corviknight. So we'll see what they were. They were Magnet. Like, that was best case. But they had Sludge Wave over Sludge Bomb. What's up with that? If they had Sludge Bomb, I was fine. They even have a Steel type that's not Cinderace to Sludge Wave next to? Yeah, Sludge Wave is a very strange choice. But game-winning choice for them, unfortunately. I would be interested to go back and see how many times I've, like, on the Believe in Boyts, I've missed a Hustle move. Because it is definitely not 80% accurate. Like, I swear at this point, it absolutely is like, not 10%, 20%. Probably is 10% at this point. Okay, this team won something. I can't remember what it was. But it did win something. It was a Psychic Seed Cobalion with Sword Stance. And no beat up on the Dragapult. I'm pretty sure there was no beat up. Even though that's what I would see the point of Cobalion as, but apparently it didn't need it when it won, so this is the standard thing. They do have a Rotom for Slowbro. And they need to bring the Rotom for the Corviknight. I guess that's one of the little anti-synergies with Slowbro and Corviknight. Because if I want to set up Slowbro, then they'll bring their electric type, which is still awkward. I will bring Dracozolt, even though I hate Dracozolt right now. I'm not fond of Corviknight. Rillaboom is still reasonable again. I don't particularly like Slowbro here. So, even though this is the Believe in Boyt for Slowbro, surely this isn't the match for Slowbro. And I'll just have to use it both times in the last video. No promises. Okay. That's fine. They're going to be able to get Dragon Dances up. So I need to try and KO the Clefairy quickly so that I can at least paralyze or redirect for the Dracozolt waiting in the back. They protect Clefairy, that's absolute worst case. So really, I probably should have Spirit Breaked the Dragapult just to cover for that. So that was a little bit silly. But then it could be weakness policy. But they did follow me, so it didn't make any difference. And this stalls out a turn of going for screens as well. So I need to be able to Thunder Wave the Dragapult, and even then actually, that probably wouldn't work, but how much does this do to fail? That's not doing too much. That's not going to two-shot with the combination. Oh, it is going to two-shot, okay. So how do I get Dracozolt next to Volcarona? Again, I don't need to reflect this turn. So I'm going to try and be cheeky here. And see if I can get a Will-O-Wisp. And if I can't, then, you know, I wasn't in the greatest positions anyway, but that's fair. They're probably Dragon Dancing again. No, they're Dragon Dancing. That gets around my sash. That does a lot of damage. Wow. Well then. I am not feeling too good about this one. I'm not sure how I defeat this now. Because they can just KO my Dracozolt with ease. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch out into Dracozolt. I'm going to switch straight back out into Rillaboom to sacrifice it as I KO the Clefairy, and then I'm going to hope that Thunder Wave fully paralyzes the Dragapult. At this point, I think that's all I have. So I should be able to survive like one attack if I set the Reflect up, but still. Maybe it is better to Reflect first. Depends what they bring in. But that is another one of the issues with this, like, passive screens, like, bulky thing. If you can't do enough damage to them back while they do their thing, then you're pretty much screwed, which is being shown here right now with the Clefairy Dragapult. Not too sure how I otherwise beat the Clefairy Dragapult. Like, Corviknight would be good, but you know, Corviknight is still very awkward here. I need Grimmsnarl to still be strong enough against the Clefairy as well. Because with the Whirlwind drop, it might not be. And if it's not, then that's just pretty much immediately game over. Okay, so there is a chance, and it's called Thunder Wave. And if they bring in like a fake out Pokemon, which they did have, they had Incineroar, then the game is straight away over. It's indeedy. Okay, so the game is still completely over. But yeah, no, there's not even a but here. The game is over, because I can't Thunder Wave the Dragapult now. The game is just very, very over. But I'm just going to, just for my curiosity, I'm going to see if I can survive here. Just want to know, +1 Dragapult against the Reflect. Does that let the Dracozolt survive? And then the game's over now. What's impressive that the Dragon Darts KO'd the Volcarona. If I'd have reflected, I think I survived. But I don't think that helped at that point. I'm not sure how this team can beat double redirection like this. It would have to, no, it would have to be the Corviknight. But then bringing Corviknight against a Rotom is still incredibly awkward. And we're not living. Okay. That's good to know. I was just waiting for it to say a critical hit because, you know, never allowed to learn. But apparently allowed to learn. So, that is good to know. So I am going to forfeit here because it will take them a couple more turns to be able to defeat the Grimmsnarl. I mean, I could find out if they have Steel Spike, but it doesn't really matter at this point. It had to be Corviknight, I guess, and I did not bring Corviknight. So it's been a while. It's been a while since there's been a wrecked in the comments from Key, but this is going to be one of them, unfortunately. Needed to bring Corviknight to that one, and yeah, Sludge Wave. Sludge Wave apparently is the play on Toxtricity. Who knew?